Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind lately, and that's staying motivated on long projects. We're talking stuff that takes weeks, maybe even months, whether it's schoolwork, a creative passion project, fitness goals, building a YouTube channel, or something like that. The kind of stuff where that early hype fades fast and all you're left with is the grind. For me, the reason I thought about this was my YouTube channel and staying motivated to keep creating even when the views aren't great. I just started this channel, so hopefully I can stay motivated, but I also have another channel that I've had for a decent while now, and right now the views aren't great. The gym is also another great example of something like this, where it takes a long time to see results. So here's how it always goes. You start something new and you're hyped. You've got this vision in your head like, this is gonna be sick. The ideas are flowing, the energy is high, and for a few days or weeks, it's smooth sailing. But then eventually that honeymoon phase ends. Reality sets in, things slow down, you hit a wall. Maybe it's not as fun as you thought, maybe you're not seeing results as fast as you expected. You might even think about whether or not you want to finish it anymore. And that's the first thing you've got to accept. Every long project has a middle part that sucks. No matter what it is, there's always that point where you're just not feeling it. And that's normal. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're doing it right. Here's a tip that's saved me a bunch of times. Break your project into micro goals, like really small ones. Big goals like write a book, lose 30 pounds, or build a YouTube channel sound awesome, until you realize they're way too vague to stay focused on. Instead, you gotta zoom in and ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today that moves this forward? Can I finish this chapter? Can I record this one video? Can I do 20 minutes of research? When you hit those tiny wins consistently, motivation starts to come back. You stop focusing on the mountain and start focusing on the next step in front of you. Every long project has a boring part, that's just how it is. It might be editing or rewriting or organizing files or doing research. This stuff no one brags about on social media, but it needs to happen. Instead of trying to hype yourself up for the boring stuff, because that's not really going to work most of the time, unless you're some kind of superhuman, try to make it more tolerable. Throw on music or a podcast. Maybe time block it, like I'll do this for just 25 minutes. Or maybe batch the boring tasks together and knock them out in one sitting. If you can make the boring parts less painful, you're way more likely to stick with the project long term. One of the biggest motivation killers is when you feel like your work isn't going anywhere. Like you're doing all this stuff, but nothing's happening. That's why you have to track progress and celebrate small wins, even if no one else sees them. Got your first 10 subscribers, that's a win. Stuck to your schedule for a whole week, that's a win. You gotta remind yourself that you're moving forward, even if it's slow, because progress is still progress. Think of it like leveling up. You might not hit prestige overnight, but every match gives you XP. When you're deep in a long-term project and motivation fades, it helps to revisit your why. Why did you start this thing in the first place? Are you doing it for freedom, to prove something to yourself, because you're passionate about it, because you want to build something that matters? You need that anchor. When the grind gets real, that why is what pulls you through. If you don't know it, you'll probably just quit when things get hard. And it's okay if your why changes over time. Just make sure you're connected to some deeper reason. Otherwise, you're just going through the motions, and that's when burnout creeps in. Here's a hard truth. You won't always feel motivated. No one does. The difference between people who finish what they start and people who give up isn't talent. It's not luck, it's discipline. You don't need to be a machine, you just need a system. A way to keep going even when you don't feel like it. That might mean having a routine, using reminders, keeping your workspace clean, staying accountable with a friend, or rewarding yourself when you finish something. Discipline isn't about being hardcore 24/7. It's about showing up consistently enough to make progress, even if you're not perfect. When you're in the middle of a long project, it's easy to feel like if you stop, you'll lose momentum. So you try to push through exhaustion and burnout, but that's how people end up quitting entirely. You need breaks, not just physically, but mentally. Rest is part of the process. It's not being lazy, it's recharging so you can come back sharper. But the trick is, plan your breaks. That way you're not just randomly disappearing for a week. You're giving yourself permission to step back, and then step back in with intention, which helps it to not feel down after you do, because you took that break. So yeah, long projects aren't easy. They'll test your patience, your focus, your confidence, but if you can push through the slow parts, the boring parts, the parts where nothing seems to be working, you'll come out with something way more valuable than just a finished project. You'll come out with proof that you can commit to something real. So if you're out there grinding on a long project, don't give up just because the excitement wore off. That's just part of the game. Keep taking small steps, keep showing up, and trust that all the work will add up, even if it takes time. So yeah, I hope this educated or at least entertained you. If it did, a like or subscribe would be appreciated. I'm trying to grow this new channel, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.